Welcome to News West 9's West Texas View with Johnny Lou Avery.
Welcome to the West Texas View. I'm Johnny Lou Avery, and it's a delight for me today to continue our series of programs about the military. You've met a real variety of people talking about the various aspects of all of our divisions of the military, and today we're going to have another delightful program. Colonel James Avery, who retired after being in the U.S. Army for 30 years, but who has worn his uniform for over 48 and is still very involved in the Guard and other things, other aspects, is our guest today. And he's going to look back on a career in the military and talk about what it gave to him, some of the things he wished he had known before he joined the military, and also how it affected having a wife, a career wife, and also a child that got some benefits too, and also had some drawbacks of being in the military. But it's going to be a pleasure for you to listen to Colonel James Avery. And James, thank you so much for coming. It's such a pleasure to have you here.
It's my honor, John Lou. Thank you for having me. Need to correct one thing.
Okay.
I'm retired. You said I'm a retired colonel. I have failed retirement 5 different times, and it's really a joke with our family, with my wife. I'm retired military, but once I retired from the military, I said, well, I want to do something. So I went and then went back to teach school. So I taught school for 12, 13 years, teaching Army, Junior ROTC. Finally moved back to Abilene, got very involved, and I'm still working with the Texas State Guard and doing substitute teaching. So I just can't retire. Failed retirement.
You have so many abilities that you learned in the military.
Well, the thing is, I substitute teach at different schools in the Abilene area. And my attitude is I have not had a job my whole life. I've always had a career. And that's you always have a career, don't have a job. You know, a job pays the bills, but a career pays the bills as well as has a great time. So I try to teach options, but I've had a wonderful career. I've had a wonderful family life doing the career, and we've really enjoyed it. And I'd like to spend some time talking about some of those things that we did, that I've learned, things that I wish I'd learned when I was younger.
And I wish you would start with when you were growing up. And I know that you grew up in a family that was a loving, close-knit family, but you didn't have a lot of
monetary
advantage.
Stuff. We didn't have a lot of things. I was the middle of 5 children. My father got sick with sleeping sickness whenever the day I entered Abilene High School as a sophomore. So I kind of had to get a job to make ends meet, and wasn't all that great in school. You know, I was a good B student.
You weren't focused.
You had other things, more important things I thought more important to me. So whenever I graduated from high school, I was kind of at loose ends and didn't know exactly what to do. I didn't know what the military was, and I decided to get into the Texas National Guard at that time. So I just went in and enlisted, walked into the first door on the right, and it happened to be infantry. I didn't know infantry from an airplane or a Jeep or a tank. And I walked in, this was during the Vietnam conflict, and I said, I'd like to get in the National Guard. And he said, well, boy, signed me up right there on the spot. And I went off and found out, you know, I like this. I like the discipline. I like the organization. I like the fact that you wear the same thing every day. And someone organizes and teaches you what to do and how to do it. And I thrived on that. And a lot of people didn't. Basically, that's a life skill. It's not hard to succeed in life. You're supposed to do what in the morning, you're supposed to do this, this, and this, and you do that. And so many people don't realize that's all you've got to do to succeed in life. You don't have to be a rocket scientist. You don't have to have a lot of money, but you do have to have the social skills to do what you're supposed to do. And as a result of that, I really succeeded in the military and found out this is my niche. And I loved it. And all of a sudden, without me knowing it, it became my career. And I spent 48 years wearing the uniform, and I still wear the uniform, and I'm very, very proud of it. But that's just social skills that I've learned.
But when you say, I walked in the door and I turned into the first door, there's a lot of things that you wish you had known, but you made the best of it, and as it turned out, it probably was just exactly where you needed to be.
You know, you've heard the expression, you falling into a bucket of mess and come out smelling like a rose. That's kind of my career, and that's why now I really go overboard sometimes as a substitute teacher, telling students things that teachers didn't tell me that I wish I'd known then.
That's exactly.
You know, they're going to be 35 years old, and what you do now, the decisions you make now, will influence you the rest of your life.
And will determine what quality of life
what quality of life you'll have when you're 60 years old.
The stupid mistakes you make will still be haunting you when
we
you're...
teach options, and that's what's really great. But I had a great military career. I took advantage of the benefits that's offered. Now, the military has a lot of benefits, like any other business or corporation, and it is what you make it. You know, IBM and Exxon, all those are wonderful corporations, but they're all good and they're all bad. You've still got to take advantage of the benefits that's offered.
And have the discipline to do what you're supposed to do.
I've got a degree. I've got a master's degree, but whenever I graduated from high school, I thought, I will never go back to school again. But it doesn't take long to realize you need more education, and you never really stop learning. It took me 18 years to graduate from college. I said, golly, I was a slow learner. Well, because I was in the Army at the time, and all of mine was at night school. So I took advantage of what the military offered me. They said, hey, we're going to pay your way to school, but you've got to go to school. You know, well, I'm married, I'm in the military, and I've got to move here and I move there. I've got a combat tour.
I've got all kinds of excuses not to go.
All kinds of excuses not to go to school. But when you do that, and it paid for all of it, now I have a degree, I have a master's degree, and all the doors seem to open at that point. So that's what I stress to the students. Life is a journey. Most, you know, we're going to live 85 or 90 years old. And you don't do all that in one day. Life is a journey, and you enjoy the journey as well as the destination. And that's what looking back, I think I've on a wonderful journey. I've been thankful for the things I've done. I've been fortunate that I'm not having any serious injuries, especially considering the things that I've challenged to do.
Yes.
Military is like a civilian job. You can sit back and do minimums. To me, it's kind of like a pro athlete. Anyone can be an amateur. It takes no effort to be an amateur.
Right.
But to be a professional, you've got to risk failure. You've got to risk maybe losing something. And I said, what's the hardest, most challenging thing that there is for the Army? I said, oh my word, that's a Green Beret and a Ranger and a paratrooper and all that other HUA stuff. So whatever that is, I think I'll do it.
Yeah.
And that's what,
what
I did.
We're going to take a break because his experiences as a Ranger and a Green Beret are very, very interesting, and he volunteered for that. So we'll be back after the break. Just a minute.
Stay tuned. West Texas View will be right back.